So I just spent roughly 2 hours trying to generate comprehension and closed passages questions on GPT. And overall, it's pretty good. I'd say it gets a lot of the job done in terms of creating the story. Having it can be twisted towards your like types of stories you wanted. So for example, I wanted my stories to have more of a moral. And the moral for me was the greater the challenge, the greater the hero. Every setback is a set up for comeback. These like adages or aphorisms, you may call them. I wanted to teach it to my students, but then through the comprehension and through the closed passages questions and all that stuff. And so I went into GPT and asked it to generate me a comprehension question with that in mind, and it did it pretty well. Did it pretty well for comprehension question. And then you can also adjust like the how difficult it is then and there. But then there were some issues with just in terms of the answers, the responses they gave. Most of the questions and answers were okay, but there was some that was a bit weird, a bit nifty. And so I recommend going back over that one. So I recommend going over your output, obviously, and trying to do it yourself to see if it's correct or not. And then I also changed the creative question and the comprehension one into a more main idea question. That way, it's the premise of it will be like try to identify the main idea of the third paragraph in the story, right? I copied that from this book, the Excel book, Comprehension and Written Expression, Year 3. There was a section, like one of the first two sections, it was about finding the main idea. So in the actual OC test, you'll be given like extracts, a whole bunch of extracts, and then you're meant to find like basically the main idea, and then pick A, B, C, D, which one you think are the right ones, and that's OC level. And right now my student isn't OC level, and so I looked at this book and I realized that a good way to introduce that type of question is just have them identify the main idea in the paragraphs of the story, the mini paragraphs. That helps get them thinking in that mindset, and then gradually I'll integrate back in bigger extracts to help them be more specific towards the OC curriculum test format. Yeah, that was for comprehension. Overall, it's pretty good. I was able to generate 3 different ones. So I'm thinking I might go over and edit the video and then slap it in then and there, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that yet, so I'll just show you physically. So I've made this page, greater the challenge, greater the hero. That's the main moral that I wanna teach. And then I separate into year 2, comprehension. And I was able to generate 3 different stories. And you see here, there's the change creative question. And they are pretty good. Right, and then the stories are actually written engagingly, and they're written decently well, to the point where I think it can help the students understand how to write a story like that. Because for example, if you read these stories in the comprehension question, they don't really have a conflict. If you read, okay, I don't know if you can read it, because I think it's reflected, but the stories here, they don't have a conflict. Now, maybe it was just that one. Maybe it's just that one. I don't know. But main idea is that the story that they generated is a decently written story with good syntax structure, good change of pace, kinda. And so I think it'll help teach the students to write well in that way, give them inspiration for the stories as well. So I can like use these stories as, I can point to them, be like, oh, look at your comprehension story, look at how they're written this way, this introduction this way, look how engaging it is. Try to do the same type of thing. And then, yeah, so that's for comprehension. I'm honestly pretty ecstatic about it. Like, it's good stuff. Although the first few generations, they would put in the quote inside the story, and it was a bit clunky the way they put it in. I'll show you quickly if I can. What am I saying? You can't see it. But, wait. I can pause the video. That's pretty cool. Anyways, so, yeah, the first few stories, the quote was slapped in, and it kind of felt clunky. It didn't feel like it flowed well. And so I might change it, but not too sure. I'm thinking about the stories, they should be more about the quote, and then the question will give them the quote, and then they have to think about, we'll give them 4 options of different quotes, and they have to think about which quote satisfies or matches the moral of that story the most. I think that's the better way to do it. Because if you put in the quote like that, it kind of, at least the way the GPT wrote it, it's not the most intriguing, not the most flowy. I can't think of any other words. And then I started trying to generate some closed passages, and that was the main problem. The closed passages were kind of hard. I had to do a lot of iterations. I uploaded a file, Vanessa's practice papers for OC. I uploaded a file of that, and I told him to do it in the same format of it, but it didn't get it right the first time, and it took some time. Took some like different prompts, reclarifications, all that stuff, to get it into the right perfect format. But eventually I was able to do it after like 3 different prompt iterations, and then after that it was pretty good. But then there's a lot of things. Hold on. Oh yeah, I was doing that and I was able to generate a decently good closed passages, but then as I was doing it, I felt like it was a bit hard. And so I would say this is probably year 3, year 4 level, not year 2 level, what I got. But that's fine. But as I was doing it, I reached my limit for using GPTs. Because I don't have a GPT Plus anymore. So I cancelled the membership subscription for now. But I'm considering evaluating my options again, because after I reached the limit for GPT, I went on a new chat, and then it also said that you've hit the free plan limit for GPT 4.0. That means your responses will use another model until your limit resets after 7:21 p.m. And this other model, I'm guessing it's the really old version, the GPT 3 or something. And those ones weren't the best. They really were not that good, because I was trying to use it to make this new closed passages, but there were so many errors. And in terms of, there were like grammatical errors, like they have the space, but then if you put in the answer choice into the blank space, it wouldn't make sense because you repeat a word or the grammar is completely different. And so I tried to fix it. I let them know, can you fix this part? They couldn't fix it. It's the exact same thing. And then I told them, consider writing out the story first, and then afterwards take the sentences out, and then putting in the answer choices that way. Like, I'm sure, like, if I gave this to any other GPT model, it would have been able to do it. But this one, it just gave me the whole story, and then put me the answer options, and there was no blank space, closed passage. It was redundant, basically. And so I said, no, it's not what I meant. I told it, go back to your output before that, and only fix the answer, the grammatical errors by itself. Don't worry about putting a whole new story. And it's like, got it. It did not got it. It's the exact same thing. It didn't even change anything. Like, what? And then afterwards I said, here's the method I suggest you do to fix this issue. I said, first generate this entire story out first, without the blank spaces. Then afterwards generate the actual closed passages by removing sentences from the initial story generation. gave me a response. It said, "Thanks for your patience, and I fully understand your request." I'm laughing, and I think you can realize what's gonna happen. So it gave me the story without any blank spaces. Yeah, that's good. And then the story with blanks, they changed the fucking story. Like the story, like every part of the story is like the same, but then the part where the blank spaces are, they changed the sentences from the initial story to some other random sentences. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why I did that. And so the grammatical problems are still there. So I'm thinking maybe I could get it to do the right thing with more prompts, but I think it's just a matter of the model. My current model, because I'm not on that, I'm not using GPT-4 anymore. I'm using an older, probably a lot weaker model. And that's why it's giving me all this crappy output. And so I'm thinking about looking into different, I'm either purchasing the GPT Plus subscription again, or I'm going to instead research some other AI platforms like Perplexity or other stuff like that. And then even I'm considering thinking about making a chatbot. So I have been watching the news and stuff, and there's some different iterations and stuff like that, different like new methods. Thinking about making my own chatbot, and then what I can do is then give it to you guys. Okay, when I say you guys, like I don't know who I'm talking to because I'm making this video purely for documentation, and so I know what's happening, and just to get a more audience. So I have more people who are like-minded, and I can like bounce ideas off of and build that credibility, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, those are my current plans. But that's it for today. I think I spent like 2 hours on this. I need to go outside. That's pretty, say it's a pretty successful day of researching and learning different methods to use. So then now, because this will be very helpful, because you won't have to like buy these books anymore. All right, if you have a GPT, you can just literally customize it to your preferences and make the story fit your students or your child's interest. Like if your child's really interested in cats and dogs, then maybe you can tell the comprehension to focus on cats and dogs, right? And that might be a good way to introduce your students or your child to the comprehension format, because they're interested in cats and dogs, and then you can change it to the normal ones afterwards, right? Or maybe if they start to get interested in something else like space, you might make one for space, right? Or even give it to the children themselves, right? If the AI is so on point that you don't even need to check it anymore for small errors, then you just give the bot to the student, and the student can maybe press a button and be like, generate comprehension question, right? And then generate some whole comprehension question. And that allows the student to be more independent, right? They don't need a tutor to give them the resource. They can just make their own resources. And I think that would be probably the ideal way of learning, right? Because my ethos to tutoring, you might say, or my philosophy to tutoring is to tutor them in a way that they become independent from their tutor, right? So they can become independent learners, so they can research themselves, right? Fostering that mindset early on, I think, is very practical, and it'll be very helpful and beneficial, right? Otherwise, you just get children who are just gonna listen to whatever the other person says and doesn't do their own research, doesn't follow the curiosity, right? Inquiry-based learning. That's what I want to do. That's in the literature. Anyways, that's probably it for today. I think tomorrow I might do some more research on different AIs and compare, see what's out there on the market, and then go back to trying these things. And then next thing we'll focus on the theme extracts afterwards. Yeah. Sorry. Let's go.